Alrighty then. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Matthew Baker of Beautiful New York Tours. One of the many things that people want to make sure they catch when they come to New York City is a sporting event. We tend to be a pretty sports-mad city, and we have 7 professional sports teams and the Mets. So it's really worth coming to for that purpose. And one of the great things about sports in New York City is that all 5 boroughs are represented in professional sports. Up in the Bronx, of course, you have the New York Yankees. Now, it's fair to say, love them or hate them, because I don't think anybody feels lukewarm about the Yankees. They are the most famous and certainly the most successful sports franchise in the biz. And their 27 world championships prove it. The fact that they did so badly in the last decade was historic, because it was the first time in a century that they had gone without a championship. Now that says something. And so, of course, their detractors love to rub that in, but their fans like to point out just how unusual it was. Now in Queens, you have the Mets, and as much as we love to give the Mets a hard time, it is done with love. If you're from Queens, you were forbidden by law to root for the Yankees. No, that's not actually true. But the great thing about the Mets is not just their spirit, in spite of their frequent losses, but also their ball field. Citi Field is one of the great baseball stadiums, not only because of the glorious Jackie Robinson Rotunda that you walk into when you first come in, but they are known for having some of the greatest food options. They really represent what Queens is as a borough of New York City, a diverse, quality-oriented place where you can try a little bit of everything from everywhere. Now, in Brooklyn, although there is the minor league team, the Brooklyn Cyclones, we move away from baseball and we go to the Barclays Center, a whimsically designed building by Frank Gehry that was designed to be the home of the new Brooklyn Nets. Now, that said, the first sporting event ever held at the Barclays Center was not a basketball game, but a boxing card. And this was back when I used to work out at a boxing gym, obviously these many pounds ago. And Peter Quillen, the Kid Chocolate, won his first championship, middleweight champion of the world with the WBO at Barclays. That was the first event. I was there, and so were many others from the gym where he had been an instructor, and it was quite an evening. Now, of course, the Nets are not the only professional basketball team in New York. You also, of course, have the New York Knicks, who play in Manhattan at Madison Square Garden. You can also see hockey at Madison Square Garden with the New York Rangers. And down in Staten Island, you have the Yankees minor league team in a really beautiful ballpark that is walking distance from the ferry. Now, one strange thing about New York City sports is that you have New York teams in New Jersey. At the Meadowlands in New Jersey, you have the home of both of New York City's professional football teams, the Jets and the Giants. And in Harrison, New Jersey, you have the stadium that is the home of the New York Red Bulls, which is our professional soccer team. I tend to be a bigger fan of mano-a-mano sports like boxing, so tennis is something that I tend to prefer, and I definitely recommend going out to the Billie Jean King Tennis Center, and of course its primary stadium there is named for Arthur Ashe, where you can see some of the greatest tennis stars of the day competing on a world level, including my favorite, Serena Williams. But sports in New York are not only something you watch, they are something you do. There are many amateur leagues, there are many scholastic leagues, but the single most egalitarian athletic event in New York City happens every year in November, and that is the New York City Marathon. Everybody comes together for the marathon. Billionaires and homeless people, and everyone in between. One great thing about the marathon is doesn't require a lot of expensive equipment. I mean, a good pair of shoes is nice, but at the end of the day, if you can run, you can run. And so people come together from everywhere to line the streets for the marathon and cheer on their favorite athletes. My favorite marathon runner is a lady named Zoe Koplowitz, who almost choked to death on a vitamin C pill, suffers from multiple sclerosis, and for many years ran the marathon on crutches. Her record-breaking year was when she took, I think it was 37 hours to complete the marathon. She finished last every year. Her health has since gotten to the point where she doesn't run anymore, but she inspired an entire generation of people to remember the motto of the marathon: the race belongs not to the strong or the swift, but to those who keep running. And it is an amazing experience. I have friends who have run the marathon. I have friends who go to see the marathon every year. And of all the sporting events, if I can only recommend one in New York City, that is the one I recommend. Now, of course, a lot of major events have been canceled. We're all reading stories about games playing on television to empty stadiums. Nobody really knows what the future of big spectator events like this is going to be, but we know there will be something. So when it is safe to do so, please come to New York City and check these great teams and these great individual athletes out. And please check me out at Beautiful New York Tours. You can search Beautiful New York Tours on Facebook or email me at baker.tours@yahoo.com. Again, that is baker.tours@yahoo. Thank you very much.